Hello and welcome to the Analyst by Vajiram and Ravi, dated 19th November 2025. Today we have taken up important news and articles from the Hindu and Indian Express newspaper and segregated the discussion into two parts, that is analysis and simplified. In analysis section, the first topic is related to a Supreme Court judgment in which Supreme Court has overturned its previous judgment regarding the environmental clearance to different projects. The second topic is related to the SCO summit where Foreign Affairs Minister has again reiterated the Indian demand of zero tolerance towards the terrorism. Both of these topics are followed by two practice questions, so stay tuned. The topic for simplified section are listed below with enrichment related to your UPSC examination. So the first topic of today's session is based on this Supreme Court judgment. Now earlier in the month of May, Supreme Court has banned or barred the retrospective permission to any ongoing project. What does that mean? Simply, if you are starting any project related to developmental aspect or any construction activity which is going to impact environment, so you need to have that environment clearance before the starting of the project. But in the notification of 2020, in the environment impact assessment, government made changes where it allowed retrospective permission also. So if there is an ongoing project, you can take permission later on. But in May judgment, a two-judge bench called it illegal and termed it as the defeating very purpose of the act itself. But now, yesterday Supreme Court, a three-judge bench overturned this decision by a majority of 2:1. Now, what is the reason that has been given by this bench? The reason given by this bench is that since a huge public money is already into the construction process, has already been spent, there is no point in dismantling what has been done till date. So yes, this judgment allowed the retrospective permission, that is again upholding the validity of the notification of 2020 which called for the retrospective permission. We will take these things in detail, that how this process goes on and what were the changes, what were the intention, and we will also look into the aspect related to environmental impact assessment, which is part of your GS paper 3 syllabus, and we will also look into the way forward, how things can be improved, and after the discussion you will be provided a mains practice question. So let us start our discussion with the evolution of the concept of environmental impact assessment. Now what is it? The concept has its origin in the USA. In 1970, USA passed NEPA, that is National Environment Environment Policy Act. So this inspired worldwide, this inspired government around world, and every nook and corner, every country understood this thing, that since the major construction project or developmental project have their ramification on the environment. So where it all started? It started in 1978 where erstwhile Planning Commission asked Department of Science and Technology to check the viability and an impact on environment from river valley projects. So it was very, you can say, sector specific research but it started the process of environmental impact assessment in India. Later on, in 1986, Landmark Environmental Protection Act came into force. Now, till 1986, or you can say till 1994, this environment impact assessment was just done due to some executive order. So erstwhile Planning Commission is asking Department of Science and Technology to do the you can say analysis and assessment of river valley project. So they are doing that only. It had no legal backing. But in 1994, government gave it a legal backing under EPA 1986. So government brought first notification. So government enlisted around 29 or 39 subjects which they said that environment impact assessment is mandatory for these projects. So you cannot proceed with the activity until you have the clearance. Further, to improve things, in 2006, government again brought some changes in this notification. So public consultation was made mandatory. So wherever the project is, the stakeholders will be consulted. Plus decentralization also occurred, with states that giving power to states to do the environmental impact assessment. Now in this line only, in 2020, an updated notification came. We will cover this in the subsequent slide. But before that, what is environment impact assessment? The basic definition, as you can understand, that it is the assessment of overall impact of a project onto the environment of the surrounding or on nearby area or region. So you will study that how far it is going to impact the environment, whether positively, negatively, whatever it is. So this is the assessment. So there is an official definition by UNEP, which in your answer writing you can use: a process to identify, predict and evaluate the environmental consequences of proposed developmental action. Now in Indian case, as I told you that now it has become a statutory process under Environmental Protection Act 1986, and there are major notification. The first notification came in 1994 and later on came in 2006 and 2020. These are the major change in this notification. So conditions are being updated and conditions are being removed and added. That is what the updation means. And what is the purpose of this? The purpose is to maintain the sustainability, to promote environmental friendly and long-term growth. That is sustainability. Plus to predict and to tell the ecological consequences of the project. Now if you have told ecological consequences and if you are finding that certain project, certain activity is detrimental to the environment, certainly this assessment also provide for mitigation measures. And this assessment should tell in detail the impact. So basically you are doing a research job, you are analyzing the thing, how far it is going to impact, you are rendering that data, and you are providing a mitigation approach also, that if this will be done in this particular manner, the damage could be avoided, so as to promote the sustainable development. Now coming back to the 2020 notification, what changes it brought? So before that, try to understand the process, a simple process, steps in environmental impact assessment. So first is screening and scoping. So first thing, you need to identify, see, first there are two kind of project, that is category A and B. The list has been provided in the notification itself, and this categorization is in the notification itself. The category A, they are mandatory in nature, that no matter what, you have to obtain an EIA clearance, and this is done by the central government. So major port project, airport project, highway project, these things, the major projects, these fall under the category A. So environmental assessment is mandatory and will be done by the central government. Category B is with the state government. Now here also there are two categories, that is B1 and B2. So B1 again a mandatory category, you need to have EIA, while B2 is exempted, you don't need. So to identify whether it is which category this particular project, this particular activity falls, we do the screening job. Like in your examination, in prelims we call it screening stage. So we kind of filter down the students for the mains, and we call mains as a main assessment of your understanding of this examination. So that is what scoping does. Now screening, you have identified that this project requires certain amount of assessment. This project is going to impact environment, so this project needs an assessment. Now you will do the scoping, that what kind of effect it will bring to the topography or to the region or to the local level environment, anything. Now you will find the scope, then you will assess the risk. Now once it is done that okay, this project needs assessment, these are the areas where assessment is required, scoping is done, now detailed assessment will be done. Once assessment is detailed, rendering the information, these are the risks, you will provide an alternative mitigation strategy, that okay, we agree that this project is important, but there are certain issues related to environment, so we need to provide an alternative or mitigation measure. Then comes the decision making. Now this report, which is prepared by environmental impact assessment report, which is prepared by experts, will be referred to appraisal committee. So if A category, then central committee, B1 category, B category, then state category, state appraisal committee. So now appraisal committee will be deciding whether to go ahead with the plan or not. Once it gets the nod that okay, it is good to go, mitigation strategy is fine, compliance is fine, the environmental conservation has been done, now it will go ahead, but with periodic monitoring. Now this is the simple process, but in all this you have found that screening and scoping before the project. But in 2020 what happened, government brought in post facto environmental clearance, where an ongoing project can, which has not received environmental clearance, they can apply that now please give me the clearance. Due to unknown circumstances and number of certain circumstances, project is started, but now we need clearance. So government allowed that. Second, the public scrutiny, that the consultation, the decision making before this, the consultation process, the opinion takes, you have to take the opinion of the people. Now this, the duration reduced from 30 days to 20 days, and overall time for the public hearing was reduced. Basically 10 days were reduced. Then there were exemptions from public scrutiny. So the stage where you are preparing the report, you are putting it in public for their viewpoint, the stakeholders, some categories were exempted, like a strategic project, inland waterway, certain building and construction projects, certain categories were exempted. Again an uproar. Environmentalists said that you are exempting many projects. First they said you are providing post facto clearance by defeating, and this is what the basis of the previous judgment. The previous judgment, the Van Shakti versus Union of India, in that case, court simply said that this is the defeat of the very purpose of the act itself, because you are allowing a project and in between you suddenly realize that I need a clearance and you are applying for it. So court said no, this is improper thing. Next change was in a good direction, that digitalization, so that to reduce the number of intermediary, to make it transparent, to make it fast, more efficient, so ease of doing business. And then the monitoring space, that you have to monitor the growth. Before earlier, even the population, the stakeholder, the normal people can also complain about the non-compliance or flouting of norms. But now in 2020 rule, they were excluded, and complaint could be made only by government authorities or project components. So various stakeholders were excluded. Now for our discussion, today's news, the first point is important. Earlier in Van Shakti case, Supreme Court said that post facto clearance could not be given. So this is illegal, defeating the very purpose. So just remove this. Now in this judgment, court said because you have already spent 20-30,000 crore in the project, it would be insensitive and illogical to scrap the project, because ultimately you are not scrapping the project but you are wasting the public money. So in certain cases, in exceptional cases, you can provide post facto clearance, but it is not a blanket kind of situation. Supreme Court put in a rider that in exceptional cases, it should not be a norm, but in certain cases where project is delayed, or there were some delay in giving the permission, and there was a necessity or need to start the project, in certain cases you can give post facto clearance. So that is what the case background is. But in this framework, there are challenges also. First is the public participation, and it is none other than CAG. CAG highlighted that the publicity for the public participation, you have to give an ad in the newspaper that this report is there, it is open for the public opinion or the concern or the you can say objections you can raise. But CAG highlighted that this publicity is very low. People don't even know that there is a consultation process going on. So the participation is very low. Further, it says that 40% of the coalfield expansion project, 40% of the coalfield expansion projects were given go ahead or green signal without even doing the public participation. Okay. Second is the poor quality. Now, National Institute for Environmental Engineering and Research, NEERI, it highlighted that most of the EIA reports are nothing more than copy paste. So what they will do, you are making a hydroelectric project, they will pick up a report from any other hydroelectric project and simply copy paste the report, and report will be forwarded. So there is no real time analysis of the situation, but copy paste is going on. Third is conflict of interest. Now this is very interesting. I told you report will be prepared by a team of expert. Then it will be submitted to appraisal committee, which is appointed by government. But this team of expert is hired by the project component itself. So if a company is going ahead with a project, this company will hire the expert committee, okay, which is accredited by the government. But again, who is the payee? Who is paying them? The company. And here the company who is paying them is asking them to prepare a report. In most of the cases, these reports are favorable to the company itself. This act as a conflict of interest. Next is, as we know, the red tapeism. So there is a paradox. Environmentalists say that government is giving permission in a haste, they are rushing towards giving permission. Project proponents say government is delaying the process. So both are true to some extent. What is the stand of Ministry of Environment? Ministry of Environment says that due diligence is being conducted, being followed, and around 90% of the project are getting clearance in 100 days only. So there is no delay, and due diligence is being applied. Then the clearance monitoring, which is very weak. Now Parliamentary Standing Committee itself highlighted that there is one officer to monitor 400 projects. This is the average, national average. So one officer is monitoring 400 projects. Next is the cumulative impact assessment. In most of the time, the assessment is being done in the vicinity of the project itself. It is not taking into account the larger aspect, the regional effect. So it is more of a local study. Next is the political and economic pressure. So every state government is rushing towards ease of doing business. And any step, any stringent scrutiny to a project is being looked upon as you can say hurdle towards the ease of doing business. So in order to streamline this ease of doing business, the rules are being flouted. Now there is a case study of Vizag LG polymer gas leak, which was operating for good 2-3 years without any permission, without any valid environmental clearance, and it caused death of 12 people and more than 1,000 people were hospitalized because of the leak of styrene gas, and this was functioning without. So this is a case study to highlight how if you will ignore the impact assessment, how it can backfire, because this company also applied for a retrospective permission. So what could be the way forward? First thing, you need to have an independent EIA regulator. You cannot rely on hired experts or the expert committee which is being appraisal committee which is being, you can say, nominated or created by central government without having any expertise. Then you need to have a universal assessment. You cannot give exemption. You should not give exemption. Any project which has impact over environment, whether it is strategic, non-strategic, suggestion is experts suggest that it should come under the environmental impact assessment. Then the public participation. You should make public participation stronger at the consultation phase plus the monitoring phase. This provision of eliminating public should be removed. Then comes the expert committee. Now expert committee should be multidisciplinary plus experts should be appointed, expert from the field of environment and science. Then the technologies like satellite, GIS should be included so that real-time monitoring, robust monitoring can be done. It should not be based on the copy pasting thing or some random reporting of data, just texting. So we are already using GIS in the Manrega and all. That can be applied here also. Plus the data should be available to all, increasing the transparency. So citizens should have access to all kind of report data plus access to the authorities to raise their concern and issues. And most importantly, we should be working upon the capacity building. We are asking for consultation from normal masses, which one can easily assume that is not very much aware about the environmental consequences. So better a training should be given, a basic level of training, that what they should be looking for, what they should be reporting, what they should be raising flag at. These kind of reporting should, at least these kind of basic training should be done so that the input that you are asking can be fruitful and can be usable for your future monitoring. Now this is your mains practice question. First, the CSC 2020 itself, they have asked how does the draft environment impact assessment notification 2020 differ from EIA notification of 2006, a 150-word answer you have to give. Second is, discuss the significance of EIA in the Indian context, outline the major challenges in its implementation, suggest robust way forward to strengthen the framework. This is a 15-marker question of 250 words. Try to attempt this. The second news article is based on this news, which talks about the foreign minister's visit to Russia. He is there to attend the SCO's Heads of State Council meeting. Here, the foreign minister has reiterated the India's demand that terrorism in any form, in any shape should not be tolerated. There should be no whitewashing on this issue. He also reminded the leaders, world leaders, that terrorism was one of the basic pillar of the SCO. The counter-terrorism measure is one of the basic pillar of SCO's philosophy and principles. So he again reminded the leaders that we should not be forgetting the basic pillars of our grouping or the cumulative effort toward the global peace. So from your examination perspective, regional and global grouping, that is SCO, is important, and the mains examination perspective, challenges to internal security, the terrorism is important. So let us begin with some information related to Shanghai Cooperation Organization. What is it? It started as a Shanghai 5. The countries like China, Russia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, They came together to form a political and security intergovernmental organization. So these 5 countries came together and they named it Shanghai 5 as the number of the countries that were involved. In 2001, Uzbekistan formally joined the grouping, and then the shape of SCO came in. The name SCO came in, which it formally was rectified, or the treaty got into force in the year 2003. Now there are several other countries which have joined the SCO grouping later. First of them were India and Pakistan in 2017, Iran in 2023, and Belarus in 2024. These are the member states. Apart from them, there are 2 dialogue partners, that is Afghanistan and Mongolia. So the key objective which I was talking about, that foreign minister also reiterated, was that fight the 3 evils, that is terrorism, separatism and extremism. And the basic principle upon which this organization or the grouping is based on is the Shanghai spirit, which talks about mutual respect. Mutual respect regarding different fields, mutual coordination, mutual bilateral relation, mutual non-interference. So all these things are the key pillars of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So first of the goal is to strengthen mutual trust and friendship. Second is effective cooperation in various fields. Third, I have already told you. And fourth is advocate a fair global order. So apart from the regional issues, we should also be focusing on a fair global order. And that is why this grouping is being seen as or construed as anti-West grouping by the Western countries and the NATO countries basically. And there is another very important permanent body apart from the secretariat, that is RATS, Regional Anti-Terrorism Structure, RATS. This is also a part, the permanent body of SCO, which talks about anti-terrorism. So that is why the foreign minister again forced upon this thing, that this is the basic tenet of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the anti-terrorism. So we should not be taking it lightly, or we should not be painting it in different colors, that good terrorism, bad terrorism, or taking sides. So he simply said that there should be zero tolerance. Obviously, because the delegation from Pakistan is also there, so he used this opportunity to make the stand of India clear. Now, the first thing that is related to terrorism is, in general terms, you can define terrorism as a use of force or threat to intimidate the civilian population or the government to pursue your own ideology, political interest or social interest, whatever it is. So this is the basic definition of terrorism. However, the problem is why we need to, because we are facing terrorism in different forms. We are facing burnt of it every year. So sometimes you should be thinking that why there is no consensus among country. You will be surprised to know there is no globally acceptable definition of terrorism. So UN doesn't have any definition of terrorism just because of this multipolar world. So every country has their own interest, every country has their own partner. So a definition given by India will be vetoed by China. A definition given by Russia will be vetoed by USA. A definition given by USA will be vetoed by China and Russia together. So you can never, as of now, the UN doesn't have the definition for terrorism because everyone has a different say altogether, different perspective altogether, and different interest altogether. However, the section 113 of Bharati Nyaya Sanhita describes terrorism as any act with the intent to threaten or likely to threaten the unity, integrity, sovereignty, security or economic security of India, or with the intent to strike terror or likely to strike terror in the people or any section of people in India or any foreign country. So this is the definition, a broader definition, clearly covering all the aspects, so that you are not left with any argument that I was not doing this, not doing that. Everything is covered, well covered in this definition as of now, until any legal luminary finds some loopholes. So this is the basic definition that Indian Bharati Nyaya Sanhita has. And there are different types of terrorism also. It has a multifaceted character to it, based on what kind of method they are using, based on what is the purpose, based on what is their goal, and what kind of group is involved, what kind of organization is involved, so what kind of target group. So everything is very, you can say, it has multiple format, like ethno-nationalist. So you are demanding a separate autonomous state, you are demanding secession, or the religious terrorism is there. You want to create a theocracy based on religion. Okay, so like ISIS was there. In the first case, you secessionist tendencies like the Greater Nagalim demand of Khalistan. Then state-sponsored terrorism is there. So a country is using passive ways, kind of funding the terrorist outfit to destabilize the neighboring country or the enemy country, not necessarily neighboring country, but an enemy country which they perceive as an enemy. So best example is our neighbor Pakistan. Then comes the ideology based terrorism. Now based on certain ideology, maybe left wing, maybe right wing extremism, which we had seen during the World War fascism. Today the left wing extremism, the Naxalites, what we call in general lexicon. So this is ideology based. Then comes the form, the method you are using. So bioterrorism, you are using biological weapons, you are using gases, you are trying to contaminate the water supply, or just to kind of instill fear in the people that if you will oppose them, they can do anything. Then comes the narco-terrorism. So where you are using the narcotics, the illicit traded narcotics to get the money to run your business. Then comes the cyber terrorism, where you are using this new avenue, or you can say the most potent avenue to spread the threat or to intimidate the perceived enemy. Now it has its own cost. The terrorism, it has its own impact. So first is the human cost, the loss of life upfront. Second is the long-term psychological impact on those who are victim to it. Maybe they lost some some body parts, they maybe not in the fittest condition of their past, or they have lost some relatives. So it it gives a lifelong psychological trauma, a distress trauma to them. Second is the economic cost. So upfront, if you can see the loss, if you can consider the Mumbai attack or the attack on the Pathankot air base, so you are damaging the infrastructure. So that is the upfront cost. Then comes the forced migration. So people are kind of leaving the area, a mass exodus is there. Third is government has to spend a lot of money on security apparatus, on police, on intelligence unit, on vehicles, on armaments. So what could have been utilized in a better manner is being pumped just to handle one aspect of life, that is terrorism. Then comes the political and social cost. Now definitely, even you can witness, whenever there is a terrorist attack in any country around the world, the society gets divided. There are fault lines in the society, so you are disturbing your human capital altogether. Now this particular gap creates a perfect breeding ground for those who are just waiting for the opportunity. So religious polarization you will find, then you will find rift in the society, you will find simmering discontent which can anytime take shape of riots and you can say the activities of mob justice that we have seen, like mob lynching and all. And lastly, your international relations are being derived through this lens only. So every country who is supposed, just take example of India. So now every country who has relation with Pakistan, India just walks cautiously. And those countries who are having good relation with Pakistan, they have to have the same idea towards India also. So again, terrorism, whatever they are doing, they are also impacting the international relation, the relation between neighborhood countries, the relation between extended neighborhood or the extended partners. Because again, the groupings and intermingling of interest kind of complicates the thing. And here in this data, you can see that despite all the efforts and certainly the attacks, number of attacks and casualties going down, Naxalism almost has been contained. And as per the government, which it has set a target for itself for March 2027, 26, sorry. So it is going at a right pace, and maybe you will get a good news that Naxalism is over in India. However, still, the cost of it. This is government data about the Northeast. Yes, the number has reduced. Incidents have reduced from 8,700 to 3,000. Death of security forces around 128 from 300. Civilian death around from 1800 to 400. But still, these numbers are there. So problem is persisting in smaller format, but yes, it is there. So what is the reason? First reason is the external factor and geopolitical conditions. So these external factors, in particular the case of India, the breeding grounds or the safe sanctuary around the border, name it Pakistan, or sometimes we have evidences, our forces have evidences that many extremist group in northeastern part of the country, militant in the northeastern part of country being supplied with Chinese weapon and money. So these are the external factors related to the geopolitics and the very location of India and its neighborhood. Second is the proximity to conflict zone. Now take example of Afghanistan, take example of Myanmar, take example of Bangladesh. If not conflict, if you will simply, you can say the Litte conflict was a past thing, but the financial crisis in Sri Lanka. So India is surrounded by a region where conflict, which is you can say conflict prone. And what it does, the moment conflict is there, the natural response would be exodus, the illegal immigration to India, or to escape the persecution there, they can come to India. And once they will come here, this is their safe sanctuary for a meanwhile. They are bound to establish some kind of operations here in this part of India also, which may trigger the future aspect, because here they have to maintain their resources, money supply, arms supply, recruitment. So again, kind of domino effect coming from your neighborhood. Then there are internal issues, social and political factors are there. People feel alienated. There are sense of secession. There are demand of autonomous regions. There are demand of greater political representation. So again, this is again giving space for terrorist organization or people of those tendency to exploit this loophole or exploit this very opportunity. Then comes the role of radicalization and communal polarization. As I told you, the moment any incidents happen, the communal polarization is there, and the moment there is weak link, the vultures will come. Then comes the digital era. The radicalization is even more easy. You have just seen the new format, that is white collar terrorism, and its implication recently in Delhi. So radicalization has become a very easy job, and mostly these people are targeting youth using digital medium. Plus the developmental gap. Obviously, the person who is not earning well, a person who is sitting idle, who is disgruntled, who is not believing the government, who has no trust in the system, is very much vulnerable to be exploited, and these people are majorly being recruited, though the recent incidences of white collar terrorism has came as a, you can say, the contradictory view, but in general this is the truth, that more troubled you are, more vulnerable you are, and the moment you will be offered some money or some good opportunity, you are ready to grab it. Then comes the technological and operational factor. You might have heard about the walkie-talkies or the phones that terrorists these days are using, or these elements these days are using. They are using drones also. They are using all kind of modern technology, which is very tough to trace and track. So by the time security forces kind of crack one thing, they come up with the new thing, and this game of cat and rat goes on consistently. So again, giving the very scope for them to grow. And then comes the latest phenomena, that is hybridization. Now terrorism has created an obnoxious nexus with the crime, the organized crime. So what is happening? So narco crime, you might have heard. So terrorism, that these terrorist outfit need money. They need funding. Who is providing? The narco traders. So for narco traders, these are the big customers. For them, they are the money supplier or the product supplier. So this is kind of feedback mechanism. And how security forces are facing challenges? Because this is kind of a complex system. Now, terrorist is not just a terrorist, he is also a narco trader. Narco trader is not just trading with the drugs and all, he is also giving money to and arms to some terrorist organization. So this kind of makes things complicated, and dismantling such a network becomes a task. So yes, as we were talking about, government has been successful, agencies have been successful to contain the incidences of violence and terrorist activity, as you can see the data regarding the Jammu Kashmir region. So government has taken several steps like UAPA, NIA, NatGrid, anti-terrorism special squad, which are dedicated to these things, and recently it has also invested heavily in the Central Armed Police Forces, CAPF, and equipment and operational preparedness. So what else could be done? First thing, improve the coordination among different agencies. So coordination should be improved. Second is, you need to modernize your forces and surveillance method. So you need to use AI and other modern day technologies to adapt to the new situation, new realities. Next is, first thing first, there should be disruption in the terror financing. So this illegal drug trade, mining, hawala route should be curtailed, or should be monitored very promptly, so that you can cut the arteries of the funding first. Then counter radicalization and community resilience should be worked upon, should be made more robust, more strengthened. Then these vulnerable areas, generally you will find these disturbed areas are not that developed, or developmental process has not reached there. So you need to provide this development in these areas to bring the long-term stabilization, and then do utilize this international platform and fora like the SCO to raise your voice, to increase the cooperation among different agencies and among countries, so that extradition, arrest, all things can be expedited, and you can bring people to the court of law, and you can give a speedy justice to the victim. So in 2021, UPSC has asked a question: analyze the complexity and intensity of terrorism, its causes, linkages, and obnoxious nexus. Also suggest measures required to be taken to eradicate the menace of terrorism. This was a 15-marker 250-word question. For your practice, terrorism continues to pose a major internal security challenge for India. Analyze the persistent factor driving terrorism and suggest a strategy to counter it. This is again a 15-marker similar question. So you can try these questions to understand the topic of terrorism. Moving next is the simplified section. The first topic is human activities and pollution which is threatening the Indian sea cow, which we all know as dugong. Now, this research paper has shown that they are very important from the perspective of marine ecosystem. So they feed on the marine grass. So they kind of act as a pruning agent. So while they are eating these grass, they are supplementing, or they are adding to their growth process. And you know that ocean is a huge sink of carbon. So again, they are important, vital for the climate change mitigation process. However, due to pollution of heavy metals, due to illegal fishing, due to use of nets and all, this population, the human activities, it has degraded. There is natural reason to it because of the long gestation period. They one sea cow or dugong, they only are able to produce the offspring after 7 or 8 years of their age, plus the gestation period is long, that is 12 to 14 months, and in 3 to 4 year time they only produce for once. So this is also a reason of their declining population. So these has been covered in this news. From your perspective, this species is very important. Already UPSC has asked a question based on dugong, and this is herbivorous marine mammal. We know it as sea cow. The IUCN status is vulnerable, and Wildlife Protection Act accords it the Schedule 1, it into Schedule 1, that is highest protection. The reproductive maturity only 9 or 10 years, and can give birth at interval of around 3 to 5 years. So that long period of interval and long period of reproductive maturity again causes the lower population. Mainly found in Gulf of Mannar and Park Bay in Tamil Nadu, Andaman and Nicobar, small population in Gulf of Kutch also. And Government of India has came up with the Dugong Conservation Reserve in Tamil Nadu, Seagrass Restoration Initiative in Gulf of Mannar, which is their prime food, and Dugong Recovery Program and Wildlife Institute of India. So these are the programs related to this species. The next news article is based on the 16th Finance Commission and the anticipation regarding the fund and grants to the local bodies. Now you know that the constitutional amendment of 73rd and 74th, you all know they relate to the PRI, that is Panchayati Raj Institution. And anyone who is preparing for this examination, they might be aware of the issue of fund, function and functionary. So this article talks about those things only, and it says that since the constitution mandates that state government will be giving the function, fund and functionary, all three things, they would be devolving towards the local government. There is no parity. Every state has a different set of rules. Every state has a different set of provisions. So there is no parity. Secondly, most of the state have given all kind of responsibilities to the local bodies, PRI, but no avenues for the funding. So you have responsibility, you have tasks to do, but you don't have any money. That we will decide when to give, what to give. So is true with the functionaries also. So article highlights that 13th Finance Commission, they came up with a noble idea that, before this article says that in this situation, that all responsibility without any authority to collect tax or collect source of revenue, there is a huge revenue deficit and they are not working properly. So ultimately they are dependent on the central government's grant, which 16th Finance Commission is going to come up with, that what kind of, and apart from all the roles, it has also, the Finance Commission also has a role to give recommendation regarding the health of the PRI institution. So they are dependent on that, and in that sense, this article highlights that only the 13th Finance Commission came up with the idea to calculate the grant as a percentage share in the union tax. Otherwise, a lump sum amount was being allocated. But this was reversed in the 14th Finance Commission, and so in the 15th. Things even get complicated because grants were divided into two parts. One is the simple grant, second is the grant based on performance. And none of the state were able to match this performance criteria, so no grant were provided. And similar thing happened in the next, that is 15th finance. Now for the next subsequent finance commission, what they said, since they were not able to perform, let us change the criteria also. So next set of criteria related to performance. So basically in crux, this article talks about that they have this hope with the 16th finance commission that they will come up with some sort of suggestion regarding the finances revenue to the local bodies, that is PRIs. From your perspective, the Union Finance Commission Article 280 is important, and objective is the vertical devolution, that is from center to state, of taxes between union and state, that what share union will keep, what share states will keep. Now with this vertical, they will also decide upon the horizontal devolution, which state will keep how much. So horizontal distribution plus grants in aid, how much you will get. Lastly, this is what the article is about, strengthen the local body finances. So composition is chairperson plus 4 member. Present chairperson is Dr. Arvind Pangaria, followed by Annie George Matthew, Manoj Panda, Mr. T. Ravi Shankar and Mr. Soumya Kanti Ghosh. Ravi Shankar and Soumya Kanti Ghosh are part-time member, while Ms. Annie George Matthew and Manoj Panda are full-time member. They will submit their report to the president. They are supposed to, the finance commission, who will lay it into the parliament. Same thing happened with the state finance commission. Again, this report has also, this news article also highlight that various state finance commission have already suggested or recommended about the devolution of revenues to the Panchayati Raj institution. However, none of their recommendation is being implemented. So again, a reason: first, no revenue source, avenue from state government, no fund, no function, function is there, no fund is there, no functionary is there. Central government is giving lump sum amount, then whatever it is ready to give, they are tying it with some kind of performance which nobody is able to perform. So ultimately, an SFC's recommendation you are not accepting. So ultimately, PRIs are waiting for 16th Finance Commission for their funding woes. So for State Finance Commission, Article 243I and Y, they talk about the creation of State Finance Commission every 5 years, as the case in Union Finance Minister, and again concerned with the tax and revenues with municipality and panchayat, local bodies' financial position and state's own revenue among different tier of local government. And they will submit their report to the governor who must lay it before the state legislature. Now this is another news which talks about the PDS system, public distribution system. Government has came up with the 4 major initiative to streamline the public distribution system, kind of bring efficiency and robust mechanism to monitor things. Name is ASHA and Bhandaran 360, Smart Exim Warehouse System and Anna Darpan Portal. So what is ASHA? This is AI based multilingual feedback platform. So the PDS beneficiary, they can give their feedback about what? About whether they have received full entitlement or not, quality was good or not, issue, if there was any issue in fair price, was there at fair price shop or not. So this is an AI enabled call which is multilingual, which supports multilingual feedback from the end users. So this is cost effective also. This is what very important is. Minister has highlighted that maintaining a call center would have cost in crores, while this AI enabled mechanism or platform, it just takes a 5 lakh of operating cost. So As I told you, multilingual translation is there, sentiment analysis is there, automated grievance categorization is there, real-time dashboard for administrators. So those who are looking after these grievances and who are interested with the solution of these grievances, they can have a real-time updation and analysis of the situation. And 20 lakh beneficiary are targeted every month, and it will grow in future. Bandhan 360, Bhandaran 360 is related to the warehousing, launched by Central Warehousing Corporation. They are integrating 41 module, which covers various aspects, HR, finance, marketing, management. And it is again kind of a robust planning system. It will give you a real-time data about these 41 module so that you can take, or administrator can take, informed and an informed decision based on real-time data and input. Same thing has been done. A digital system has been brought in for export and import warehousing processes. This same Bhandaran 360 is a smart EXIM warehouse. Important is Annadarpan platform. The older depot online system has been replaced, and it will integrate the full supply chain functions, which is procurement, storage, sales, quality, labor, and it will act as a single unified source of truth for both Food Corporation of India and Department of Food and Public Distribution. So kind of this Annadarpan portal will integrate all the information and will provide a real-time information so that the administrator can monitor a situation based on different parameters. Next news is related to the Global Big Cat Summit, which the Environment Minister, Mr. Bhupendra Yadav, announced that next Global Big Cat Summit is going to be held in India. Now, this will be done under the auspices of International Big Cat Alliance, which is an alliance initiated by India itself, created by India, and is focusing on 7 big cats. That is tiger, lion, leopard, snow leopard, cheetah, jaguar, and puma. So these are the 7 big cats which they are targeting to preserve, and India has launched this. This is open for, the membership is open for all range countries, all 97 range countries where these species are found. Non-range countries can also join this initiative, and purpose is to protect, save and increase the population of these species, and to control the poaching, illegal trade, and the, you can say, research work related to these species. This is the platform India has created to preserve these 7. So in India, apart from jaguar and puma, with the inclusion and introduction of cheetah, you will find 5 of these 7 species. So India is the initiator. So India has also committed a $100 million funding for the next 5 years, and will seek further funding in the future. So this would be the meeting, the next seminar. The first seminar is going to be held in India. And see this, you don't need to remember all the countries, but the founding member include the, there is very important and interesting thing. If you will see in neighborhood, India, Bhutan, Bangladesh, these countries are founding member along with other countries. So total 16 countries are founding member. But if you will see this, only 15 have rectified, and those who have rectified it, or those who have ratified it, those who have acceded to this, are not the same as that of founding members. So if you will find Bangladesh, it has not ratified it. So be careful in understanding this, that countries which are founding member are not the ones who have ratified it till date. So, but it is open to all the range countries. They can come and join anytime whenever they are ratifying the treaty itself. The last topic of today's session is related to the Indonesian Defense Minister visit to Delhi for the talk of purchase of BrahMos, which recently our Defense Minister also talked about. that Indonesia is interested in purchasing BrahMos. Again, after Operation Sindoor, the proven capabilities of BrahMos had been on the display. Many countries have shown their interest, and now the production has been started in Lucknow facility also. So this visit is being looked upon as a big leap in the field of Indian export of the defense technology. So what is BrahMos? It is a supersonic. Why supersonic? Because speed is more than the speed of sound. So Mach 2.8 to 3. Jointly developed by India and has been named after the river in India, that is Brahmaputra, BrahMos, and Moskva. So Moskva and BrahMos is the name, two rivers. Presently it has a 290 kilometer of range, but the extended version of 450 and 800 kilometer has been tested already successfully. There are two other variants which are being tested, the lighter variant BrahMos NG and BrahMos 2 that will go hypersonic. So and the other important thing is this can be launched from multiple platform: land, sea, submarine, ships, fighter jets. So its capability again enhanced because it can be launched from the various platforms. Propulsion includes two stages. First is solid fuel, second is liquid fuel ramjet, and being developed as a joint venture. Name is the BrahMos Aerospace Private Limited, which is joint venture of DRDO of India and Russian equivalent, that is NPOM. So that is all for today's session. Stay tuned for more such updates. Thank you.